How's it going, guys? Happy Monday, or whenever you're watching here on LaLiga Insiders. Christina Alexander, Rodrigo, Faez, to break it down a little bit for you guys after a very interesting weekend. Of course, a lot of goals from Real Madrid, a lot of goals as well from Barcelona. 5 wins on the trot for Real Madrid, and of course, Barcelona is still right there, reminding them that they too are playing for the title. And what's new with our insiders? And not only that, but of course, we can't leave out a little bit of extra time to have some fun with Luka Modrics and a very interesting conversation. So stick around. But first, of course, let's talk about that win that Real Madrid had. Apparently, they didn't really need that much when it comes to offensively. 4-1, and they had that victory. A lot of goals, like I said, that we saw this weekend, including, of course, that 4-0 defeat that Barcelona had against Cádiz. But first, break it down a little bit with Real Madrid. Now, they are the leaders, 15 points. Rodri, how convinced are you with this merengue team that looks like they're getting very comfortable starting things off in La Liga?
Hi, Chris. Well, we said about this, I think it was like 3 weeks ago, that Real Madrid was the main favorite to win the league by the end of the season, because they had a block that started last year with Ancelotti and with people such important as Courtois, Benzema, Vinicius, Rodrigo. All of them, you know, they're key players for Real Madrid, and the rest are players that were development, you know, in that development era, like Valverde, for example, Camavinga, or even Tchouaméni. They proved in this La Liga beginning that they are really strong, and they don't need this period of getting here to Madrid, trying to get used to Real Madrid system or tactics or whatever. You know, they came and they function right at the same time. So that's why Real Madrid now has convinced even to all those supporters that they thought at the beginning that Real Madrid weren't that big for this season. But they proved it all in a game against Mallorca, in which they struggled in the first half, because even Mallorca scored before Real Madrid, and that put some nerve on Real Madrid supporters. But at the end, Real Madrid, they have power, they have physical, and in the second half they turn it down, and they made the comeback to say, we are here and we're gonna be here for this season long. So that's why now is the main favorite, is the team to beat. And let's see, because I think it depends more in Barca rather than in Madrid to see if finally Real Madrid are gonna win the La Liga if they fail. Because if Barca gets to be at that level, as they prove, they could be up there fighting against Real Madrid for La Liga title, but seems quite difficult for Real Madrid.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think you'll agree with me when I say Real Madrid loves a little bit of drama. They love sometimes feeling like they're up against it and that they have to react, and wow, what a way to do it. And now my next question, of course, speaking of pressure for Vinicius Jr., now Rodri, if Karim Benzema isn't there, is he the one to watch? Is he the one to lead this team?
When Karim Benzema got injured, we all thought that Real Madrid was going to struggle a lot because you don't have the main striker that made you to be at that point last season. So that's why everyone were like, my God, what am I going to do without Karim Benzema? No, that's what all supporters of Real Madrid thought at the beginning. But after Mallorca game, all of those supporters turned into positive thinking, like, okay, now Vinicius has said, I'm here and I can be the leader of this team. And he proved it in the second half. He said, take the ball and I'm going to pass the ball and I'm going to score the goal. I'm going to assist. And he's happy at the moment. That's why Vinicius is enjoying a lot. And it seems really weird for all football fans, because we all remember how Vinicius used to play 3-4 years ago, when everyone expected him to be at the highest level at the time that he came to Real Madrid. But at the end, you know, he struggled maybe in the first 2-3 years. But right after Ancelotti came into Real Madrid bench, I don't know what happened. I don't know what Ancelotti said to him, that he changed his mind and he changed the pace. And now he's proved that that he has that character, the personality, whatever you call it, to say, I can be the leader of this team, and I am at the top 10 players worldwide now because I'm in shape and I am able to do whatever thing in the field. So that's good news for Real Madrid, because they were hunger of something like that.
So glad to see a player like Vinicius Jr., because as you know, Rodri, this was one of those classic players where we were like, okay, he's really young, he has so much potential, hopefully he can tweak this and that. And it looks like he's doing that little by little, and of course, under pressure, which always is when you're a Real Madrid player. And now, speaking of pressure, this was really funny by Javier Aguirre, of course, the Mexican coach of Mallorca, always speaks with zero filter. They are very superior saying this about Real Madrid, and sooner or later, they were going to hit us. We were going to have opportunities, and we had them, but they played very good soccer. This defeat entered the logic. Of course, logically speaking, we assumed that Real Madrid was going to beat Mallorca, but what do you think about Javier Aguirre's words?
Well, I understand Javier Aguirre, and I understand what he said right after the game. If you compare Real Madrid and Mallorca in all the lines and at all levels, Real Madrid is always going to win Mallorca. Even if we take Real Madrid against Mallorca in 100 times, the normal thing is that Real Madrid beats Mallorca maybe in 95, even more games. So we all understand that Javier Aguirre said that before, after the game. And I know that all Mallorca supporters agree with Javier Aguirre, because it's such a difficult thing for Mallorca or this kind of teams to face Real Madrid, even when they play in a way at Santiago Bernabeu against Real Madrid with players that cost more than 80 million euros. I understand Javier Aguirre. I understand even Javier Aguirre saying one thing that he said that is not very mediatic thing, that they were playing at 2 o'clock and the heat and the temperature in Madrid was really high, and that wasn't really positive for Javier Aguirre's side. And I understand that he said that, okay, this is impossible for a team like us to play at this level at this time. So I understand Javier Aguirre, and he may understand that the difference in between the potential of Mallorca and Real Madrid is so huge that it's normal to lose against Real Madrid. I think we all understand.
Yeah, absolutely. He did what he could. We know Javier Aguirre loved, coaching this level of soccer, of course, in La Liga. And we know historically he's done already in La Liga. So from there, we stay with not only Real Madrid, but we have to go to their rivals too, with Football Club Barcelona, who also had an important win, 4-0. Of course, this team who struggled to find their footing last season, Xavi staying, and of course with that preseason and signing all of these important players. How do you judge now how Barcelona has done and did with this 4-0 against Cádiz?
Well, Barcelona said again in the field that they have what they didn't have last season. I remember last season when, doesn't really mind if Koeman or Xavi were the coaches, but I remember Barcelona struggling a lot trying to score any goal, because they created a lot of chances in any game, but they didn't score those chances. So that's why once you get Lewandowski in the team, this is so easy for them, because they are going to create chances. Doesn't really matter who you're playing against, but they needed to score those goals, and that's why Lewandowski is a key player for Barca. You may remember that 2 weeks ago I told you in one of our predictions for this La Liga season that for me Lewandowski is going to be the main scorer, the top scorer for La Liga, the Pichichi, and I am still at that point, and I think there's going to be a great difference between Lewandowski and the second one. Doesn't matter if it's Benzema, Vinicius or whoever, but Lewandowski has everything that Barca needed last season, and now is what Barca needs, because he's not only a main striker, a top striker, but he's also the guy who teaches Gavi, Pedri and Sufati to say, okay, we're going to improve not only as individuals but also as a team, which is something important for Xavi, because that's what Barca need at this moment. They need something else, and they need someone like Lewandowski to be the teacher of these people.
I love it. It's the gift that keeps on giving. He was totally worth every euro. At least that's what he's proving right now, because of course with the signing, and we talked about it here, it's a yes, it looks very pretty on paper, but can he perform on the field? And for now, he has absolutely done that. Helping, of course, with important victories for Xavi with these 17 wins on the road, the same now that Zinedine Zidane did in his moment. What do you think about, reaching what this number is? And of course, what Zinedine Zidane means for La Liga, means for Real Madrid, and Xavi trying to get there as well.
Those are outstanding records for both for Zidane and for Xavi. But I'm gonna say that for me, Xavi has a little bit more credit in the way that Zidane. And I try to say this in order for our audience to understand what I'm going to say. But Zidane had a team, with Cristiano Ronaldo, with Karim Benzema, with those key players that they were playing for so many years at a high level. But now Xavi is trying to manage under construction team. So that's why for me, Xavi, I will give him a little bit more credit than Zidane. For me, both are great coaches, but Xavi has still to prove that he is able to that level, because when I see the criticism sometimes around Barca, I always remember that Xavi came to Barca in December or January, I don't remember now, but he was coaching a team from Qatar. He was never at this level, so that's why for me, when we say that Xavi is at the top form, he's still trying to prove that he is able to manage at that level. And even more when we talk about Barca, who is, as I told you before, an under construction team. So that's why I leave a little bit more credit to Xavi rather than to.
And if it comes towards you because of what you just said, they can deal with me too, because I totally agree and I totally get why you're saying it. Because Barcelona was a hot potato. Nobody wanted to hold on to the team for any longer or even take on that challenge. And they convinced Xavi to come. We know that he wanted to get there eventually, of course. He was doing really well with the Qatar team, but of course now with Barcelona, you can't say, well, as a player, he knew it really well and he's a legend, because it's totally different knowing a team as a player and now knowing a team as a coach. So if anybody wants to come towards Rodri with what he just said, you can talk to me too. All right, let's move on to a little bit of this inside information. What's going on with Marco Asensio? We know he was wishy before starting the season, and it looks like he's still a little bit there.
Yeah, all the people saw those images of Marco Asensio right after he was warming up in Santiago Bernabeu when Carlo Ancelotti finally said, okay, Lucas Vázquez is going to be out of the game, so I'm going to put inside Dani Carvajal. And since that moment, Marco Asensio got so angry that I don't really understand. I may understand Marco Asensio to say to himself, okay, I need to improve a little bit more. I want to convince Carlo Ancelotti to prove that I'm still able for Real Madrid. But when you see those images of Marco Asensio filming a lot, saying like throwing the shirt or the sleeve into the bench, those are really images that Real Madrid doesn't really like. And what Marco Asensio should make is improve a little bit in the training sessions and prove and make Carlo Ancelotti to change his mind to say, okay, I'm going to be here, I'm going to stay this season for Real Madrid for all the year long, so I'm going to be a little more committed to this project. So that's why he needs a little bit of change, and we all understand, even the club understand what summer transfer window he was through, because we know it's not easy for Marco Asensio. He still has 1 year left of contract and he wanted to leave, but no offers came in Real Madrid side, so nothing convinced even the player or the club. So that's why he's going to stay till June and he will be free to choose his future. But he still has to prove and he has to be professional. That's what Real Madrid asking for.
Yeah, that's what Real Madrid is asking for. And of course, those other teams that maybe are thinking of signing him see these kind of images and they're thinking twice about it or even 3 times about it. So that's tough for Marco Asensio. We understand him maybe on that human level and how he didn't maybe contain that to have that outburst, away from the cameras. But hey, I can't understand that position. But of course, it's tough. It's tough for Marco Asensio. It's tough for Real Madrid as well. But he should use that fuel for fire, for motivation, just as you said, in training at least. All right. Speaking of anger, we know that Mallorca was a little bit uncomfortable, as a lot of teams are when they face someone like Vinicius Jr.
They were disappointed in the way that they didn't like how Vinicius celebrated his goal, because we remember those images of Vinicius dancing, you know, in any kind of samba or whatever Brazilian dance, and from Mallorca's side they didn't understand, and they are still disappointed by that behavior of Vinicius. From Real Madrid, when I try to ask this morning about what they think about what Vinicius did, they say the same. If he's happy, he can do whatever he wants. That's why Real Madrid say we're not going to tell him anything, because we understand that he's, you know, at that moment at least, he's happy and he's like, okay, I am the guy, I'm the player to be focused on. So that's why they leave him celebrate that way. But I understand that Mallorca are disappointed in the way that, okay, we are really small if you compare us to Real Madrid, so that's why we understand that we can lose, but we don't want to be humiliated. So that's why those Mallorca players are still disappointed by Vinicius. And let's see what happens in the second leg of this season, if they're gonna make some kind of revenge or whatever, but they are disappointed by behavior, by Vinicius.
We'll see who gets the last laugh then there, if it's Mallorca, if it's Vinicius Jr., if he keeps scoring too with Real Madrid this season. Speaking of scoring and speaking of Real Madrid, are they still looking for a striker, Rodrigo?
At least they say to you that they don't look for anything or for anyone for the next winter transfer window, because they understand what we explained this past June. Back in June we said that Real Madrid were looking for someone really cheap, someone with a future potential, and someone who could understand the role he was coming for, Benzema's replacement. But after this French injury, when Benzema got injured, those alarms started to sound again, like, okay, Real Madrid didn't buy any second striker, because they weren't convinced by any option. And Real Madrid still sticks in that situation, because they understand at the club that they don't see anything interesting in the market, so it doesn't really matter what happens to Benzema or whoever attacking player at Real Madrid, that they want to stay like this. They don't want to go to the winter transfer window to look for any good player for Benzema's replacement. So that's why at least at this point of the season, they don't want to look to any option. Let's see finally if any injured, Chris, because you never know what will happen in the next months. If there's any big injury or long-term injury, let's see what Real Madrid do, or if they change their mind. But not at this moment.
And it's exciting, right? Talk about having confidence in those guys that you have up front right now, especially with Vinicius Jr. That's why, I was asking you earlier if it's his moment, and it looks like it very well could be. And of course, if injuries stay out of the way, and hopefully that's the case for Real Madrid, and of course for every player involved in any sport, if we're getting to that. All right, that's some insider information. Rodrigo, thank you so much. Let's go to some extra time to have a little bit of fun. This is what Luka Modrics was talking about a little bit as to why he's so good at soccer.
Bueno, muchas gracias primero. ¿Cuál es el secreto? Siempre me piden esto, pero no sé qué decirte, de verdad, es algo natural. Me estoy dedicando mucho al fútbol, vivo para y por fútbol, casi 24 horas al día. No se sabe nunca cuánto vas a durar en este nivel, en este club donde la exigencia es máxima. Por eso trato de disfrutar todos los días lo que hago en entrenamientos, en los partidos, y creo que todo esto ayuda a estar bien con esta edad, y ya está.
So basically the secret, as Luka Modric said, is that there's no secret. Rodrigo, what do you think?
Yeah, I understand, because everyone here in Madrid is wondering about, for example, what he eats, how many hours he sleeps every night, but I see him as a Benjamin Button. I mean, it's impossible to know his secret. He's someone that is not from this planet, so that's why we understand that he is at the top form, and we don't understand why, when you see his ID, it says like he's 37 years old. This is something from not the planet Earth. I don't know where he's from, but please take me back with you, because I want to be better journalist, and I want to know.
Yeah, share the wealth, Luka. Why don't you want to tell us why you're such a good player? I mean, we know that some of these players are born with it, but of course you have to, nurture the talent with food, with energy, with that training. But more than anything, for the age that you mentioned, of course, 37, and he's still so fast, and he's so good at what he does, and of course he's so intelligent in the game.
He's incredible. Please, Luka, if you're watching this, if not, I'm gonna send this video to you. Please tell us the secret. Tell us your secret, because we want to improve, not only as a journalist, but as a person.
Or at least invite Rodri to dinner, and Rodri, you can write down, what he orders, and maybe we can kind of get a clue. Are you vegan? Do you eat whatever you want? Does he eat steak frites every night? I mean, I want to know, but anyway, but tough to know for Luka Modric. It's tough to explain too, but he said, yeah, I just eat, live, breathe soccer, and that's it. That's why he's so good. Rodri, always a good time as always, and thank you for joining us every week on LaLiga Insiders. A quick reminder that you can watch all of La Liga matches on ESPN Plus. And of course, Rodri, do you want to tell the viewers what your Twitter handle is?
Yeah, Rodrigo Faez, as easy as
Easy
it gets.
peasy lemon squeezy. With that, guys, we'll leave you with this information, and of course, we'll see you in a few days here on La Liga Insiders.